Hey there. I am just jumping on, checking in. It's been a minute since I've done a live and um, or even a video. So I'm just checking in to see everybody's doing. I am um, having a hard time getting or staying motivated. I wonder if anyone else is having that type of struggle as well. See Bailey joining us in the back. Hopefully, no deliveries will be made during this time. And she can stay calm, cool, and collected. Look at her. She's so nosy. Look, she won't. I mean, she is my shadow. She doesn't let me go anywhere or get too far from her. Um, Excuse how I look. Coming from pickleball today, um, and um, just try to focus on and be intentional about the things that matter to me and not get caught up in the whirlwind or storm of the constant deluge of information. And so there are several things that I have been working on in preparation and we'll do a video about and uploading to my website some products and other things. But I have found it very difficult to, you know, I guess the problem is I wonder, like, does it even matter at this point? Like, is it even important? Um, with everything that's going on and all the uncertainty in certain areas, like, does this even really matter? And as I focus on what matters to me, and everything that I do is an extension of that, is an extension of what I think is important, is the extension of what I'm passionate about. I have been in a place where I have been rethinking things and reevaluating positions and perspectives. And if you followed me for any length of time on this channel, you know that I believe that perspective is integral, right, to where you're going, where you've been, and how you map out your future. And sometimes it takes moments like these and seasons like these to stop and reevaluate your perspective to make sure that you are considering everything that you need to, um, that you're, that you're open to new, different things outside the box. For me, I can honestly be tunnel vision in some things. Even though I'm a change practitioner, I don't enjoy change, and not too many people enjoy change because like they don't like the unknown, right? There's fear that sets itself up as a stronghold in those areas where you're reluctant to try something without knowing the definite outcome of what you're doing. And that really is me in a lot of ways, both personally and professionally. I don't like to venture too far outside the box without having a contingency plan. And anyone who knows me personally knows that. I say it to my daughter all the time. Okay, so what is the contingency plan? What if? And for those folks who are faith based and believe in, taking a leap of faith. And I have done it many, many times in my life. Felt the unction to move and have done so because obedience is better than sacrifice. That kind of plays against. It's like a war between my reasoning and my intuition or my spirituality or my spirit, however you define it. It's like this constant war where they're butting heads, and fighting to see, who's going to have the greatest influence or which way I'm going to lean. So the contingency plan is always me trying to control. I mean, that's just a simple fact of the situation, trying to the control whatever's going on in circumstances by having a backup plan, right? So that I know, well, if this happens, then I'll do X. And trying to think about all the possible scenarios that could play out and having a plan in place in the event that it does. And sometimes there is no contingency plan. Sometimes you have not been able to think of all the various ways that a circumstance or situation can play out. And sometimes we do. I mean, the first inclination should be to rely on um to be able to rely on yourself or rely on faith, but sometimes you just don't know when you have to go with the flow. And I was told a couple years ago now, why do you have to be like a salmon? Why must you swim upstream? Why can't you go with the flow? And going with the flow is very challenging for me. So, in times like this, I get quiet and I try to figure out, okay, so what's my next step? What makes sense? What may not make sense, but is driving me to do it? What are my feelings and my gut about it? What is my what is my faith? What am I hearing in my quiet time, in my prayer time, and things of that nature? So I'm just checking in because right now it's a quiet time. Right now, I'm not giving energy to anything that I don't believe deserves it. And I'm fortunate in that I'm in a space that I don't have to give time to anything that I don't want necessarily to give time to. My primary focus is my family, myself, and making sure that I'm giving myself the care so that I continue to give them the care that they require from me or of me. And so that's what's most important to me at this time. And then tapping into, does this all matter? Like literally, things are happening every day, all the time, where people are getting up out of here, where they're no longer able to, they don't have a tomorrow or a today to make different decisions or to pursue different goals. And so, simply stated, life is short. Anything can happen at any time, and life is hard. Anything can happen that can upset your apple cart and force you to have to change directions or pivot on a moment's notice. And we're seeing some of those things play out every day right now. And so it reminds me to stop and think, what does this really matter, right? The Bible tells us the words of today are sufficient. There's always admonishments to not get ahead of ourselves. And with me and my contingency plan, I'm always trying to be ahead of myself or ahead of what's going on so that I have a plan. But I also have to ask myself, w- what's the point? Like, what's the point of what you're doing? And so, the point of what I'm doing now is to focus on those things that bring me joy and not focus on things that I can't change or things that are going to, depress me or things that are toxic that don't do me any good. Or to focus on someone else's actions all the time when I can focus on myself and what I need to do to be better every day. And so, as it relates to where I am now and this channel, um, sometimes I do. I wonder, when I started this channel, I had a different motivation. It was, a couple years ago now. And it was really a personal challenge to myself when I started this channel. And then it became something else. I'm always trying to help. I'm a natural advocate. And when I was growing up, my mother would say to me, stop. You're a nurturer. Stop trying to find every wounded individual and try to nurture them. And to a degree, she was correct. I was that was very toxic over time. Because every challenge or every situation or every person that was in need was not my assignment. So that became, very draining and um, not only draining, but traumatic, if I'm just honest about it. So, when I started the channel, I started with my own personal goals and challenges to myself and things that I wanted to be better in and become more comfortable doing. And it did kind of evolve then into sharing my experiences and that evolved. There's always this evolution to people in a certain segment who my message or my experiences resonated more with than others. So, and then that kind of morphed into me kind of segmenting some of the things that I was talking about, my experiences, some of the things I was researching into a specific area that spoke to those people. And at some point, you tap out of your experiences and your perspective, and you're looking to open it up to get other people's experiences and other people's perspectives. And and then that kind of evolved into, well, how in the larger scheme of things, I always tell my mother, let's not look at the tree, let's look at the forest and stop looking at we can't see the forest for the trees or vice versa. Sometimes you have to look at it from a macro level rather than a micro level. And so as I looked at, I thought, as I'm, in this time of thinking and resting and reevaluating, why is this important? And for me, it's important to move forward because I believe that knowledge is great, right? We heard the saying, knowledge is power. Yeah, knowledge is power, but it has no power when you don't apply it. Applied knowledge, that's where the power comes from. That's where the strength comes from. And we have become a community where, a society where we want things now because we're used to getting things instantaneously. We're used to moving at a certain pace. We're used to being able to get stuff without having to work so hard for it. Remember the mantra, working smarter, not harder. And, there are certain things that I definitely ascribe to that for in my business and my own personal methodology. If I've already created something, it's no need to reinvent the wheel. I make something so that I can take it and customize it. I can have a framework that I can use from project to project and customize that even around the house with things that I do. I try not to do, you know, the same thing twice. Like when I'm driving, I don't like to take the same route. I like to maximize my driving. So I like to, I don't come back the same way I go a lot of times. There's just something about that. I feel like, I should plan out where I'm going and what I need to do so that I can do it in a route that's efficient and effective. And it probably comes from me having a type A personality. When I think about this, I think about what's most important in all the evolutions that this channel has gone through in my mind, and maybe it has not been obvious to those who have been following me or watching, is that the mainstay is knowledge. I always want to add something. I always want to explore something, offer a different perspective on something in the hopes that someone will gain some knowledge that they did not have prior to clicking on to any of the videos. And right now, my passion and it has always been, is education. I am passionate about educating individuals on any level about anything, but throughout my career and my personal life, it's been in the area of leadership, communication, training and development, and politics on a local level. And so those are things that I enjoy. I enjoy seeing the light bulb turn on. I enjoy watching people get it. I enjoy people taking the information and feeling empowered by it. I enjoy just the community of talking about new and different issues and seeing where people stand and perhaps changing my position based on what they've said because we've opened up opened up communication and my mind has been open up to receive something different than what I thought I already understood or knew or even believed in. And I think now more than ever, that is needed, the flexibility and adaptability and the willingness more than anything else to step outside of our comfort zones and our own boxes to say, hey, I didn't know that. Ignorance is bliss, and ignorance only means to be ignorant is the lack of information. We've used it to describe characteristics of behavior, right? Bad behavior, but really, you can be ignorant in a topic and not have a condescending or distasteful behavior around it. And that's something I think that people need to that we need to understand more. It's okay to be ignorant. It's okay to say, "Oh, I just don't know," and be willing to know. And it's okay to say, "Hey, we're going to agree to disagree." That's all okay. We have gotten to a point where we lack the general ability to openly communicate with one another without sarcasm or personal assault on individual, or we can have different beliefs. That's okay. You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to think what I think. However, what's not okay is that you can't tear me down. It's not okay for me to tear you down if we don't have those same beliefs. If we don't, you know, believe the same things. And it's interesting, my family, I come from a family, and I'm kind of just rambling, follow me as I flow. I'm just talking about my thoughts today and where I want to kind of go moving forward. Um, but we're all chiefs and no Indians, and that's the way that I describe my family. We're all chiefs and no Indians, and I enjoy that because I was raised to have my own thoughts and have my own beliefs, and that would be that was okay. I didn't have to be a cookie cutter of my parents, and I didn't have to be an extension of their thoughts, an extension of their beliefs. And thankfully, we all have the same values and moral structure and moral compass. That was something that was instilled in us. And we saw in us, I mean, my brother and myself. And because we saw those behaviors demonstrated and those characteristics exemplified, then we modeled those. We modeled the behavior that was shown or demonstrated in front of us. The it's a double-edged, sword. The other way part of it that cuts is the fact that we don't often or sometimes we don't agree. And if there's a debate, those debates can be, heated. They can be passionate because we believe what we believe and we're trying to, communicate those beliefs and articulate those beliefs. But at the end of the day, there is a level of respect that, hey, I don't love you any less because you believe A, B, and I believe MNOP. And we're going to agree to disagree. And even though we are a lot alike, especially like my dad and myself, we're a lot alike, there is this constant persuasive or desire to persuade someone over to your side. And even though that exists, I often say, I'm not going to persuade you. You're not going to persuade me. So let's agree to disagree. And even in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's hard to back down, right, from your position. But for the sake of the relationship and the sake of the conversation itself, and for the seeds that were planted in that conversation, and give them time to rest and to, sprout other thoughts and ideas, to get planted and rooted, it takes a little time and you have to back away and let people sometimes people don't know it in those moments. Like in that moment, you may think, oh, that made sense, but you don't say it, right? Because you're still defending your position. But later on, I have found that I will marinate on things and they're still there and I'm chewing on it. I'm processing it. And somewhere it might fit. And I'll think, that actually made sense. And I have been known to call back like, you know what? I need to apologize because we were talking and blah, 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 but blah, 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 blah. I found with great, I don't know, grief might be too strong a word, but I have found with great maybe disappointment that we are less inclined to do that. We are less inclined to deal with people that are different from us, to see a perspective outside of our own, to communicate about that perspective. To sometimes people just want to have general information, right? They just want to know. So, and we take offense to that, as if it's for malicious purposes that someone is seeking the information or entertaining the conversation, and that's not always the case. Sometimes it could be. I mean, everybody you talk to is not sometimes being authentic. They don't really care. Sometimes people being sarcastic. I even find it like on the Facebook page for my daughter's school where the parents are, like, you can't even ask a question anymore. You can't even come to the group, with with a genuine concern about your student, child, or the students at large, without there being some type of label or accusation or innuendos regarding your thoughts. Like, the whole point is that it's supposed to be a community for parents to come in and be able to talk about their concerns and get other input from parents who have been there, a part of the community longer, whose children have been at the school longer, and their experiences and their expertise and their challenges and their successes. Like, we are supposed to be in the trenches together. And so I don't know. I don't know where that brings us. I don't know where that brings me, other than I'm shifting. I feel like my gears are shifting to talk about things that matter to me in the larger scheme of things. I'm taking a forest view as opposed to a tree view, which means not being quite as niched or targeted to one area or aspect. I mean, everybody there are people who are looking for careers because they have been let go or downsized or for whatever reason no longer have employment. So they're desperate to have employment. There are the people who their whole lives are upended in 2019, 2020, and they have created an existence around that, which means working from home, and they've made all the adjustments and accommodations to do so, and now that rug is being pulled from up underneath them. There's another segment who um, has decided, you know what, life is too short. And stress kills. I'm out, and I'm going to pursue those things that I care about, whether that be from an entrepreneurial standpoint, or whether that means from a contracting standpoint, where I can dip my toe in and out when I choose, and not necessarily have to be affiliated or tied to one organization. So people will always be looking for another opportunity or outside options to better themselves. And I get that and I understand that. And from the vantage point of individuals who are looking to transition into training and development, I will continue to share what I know about training and development. But those people who really care about what leadership looks like and what good leadership is, and how to encourage and uphold and value their employees, and build true working relationships with individuals um, that require give and take, and actually caring about someone outside of themselves and the bottom line. I'm here for that, and will continue to do content for that. For individuals who just want to personally be better and learn how to woosah and take breaks and reevaluate and reassess and know who they truly are, and know that their value is greater than a lot of what they've accepted. I'm here for that. But I'm always going to put education at the forefront of that. And there are some things that are really, 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 really heavy on my heart and spirit as it relates to general education. I'm someone who has subbed. I'm someone who has subbed in K through 12 school district. I told you before, if you follow me, my mother was a 36-year veteran educator. She was my teacher when I was in middle school. And, um, we still run into people all the time who she is beloved. She is a beloved retired teacher in our community. And I have been an adjunct professor where I taught interpersonal communication and public speaking. And of course, a trainer, which has that component where I'm teaching adult learners. I think education is the most important thing that we can do because without it, you don't know anything. Without being educated, you are not informed about things that directly impact you and how they would impact the people that you love, or how to make the decisions that you need to make in order to be successful in life. Or how about this, just to survive and then thrive in life. And there are some things that are on the cusp, that are on the horizon regarding our departments of education, both at the federal level and state level, and what's happening in our school districts. We've had teacher flight going on for the last several years, and which was exacerbated by the time when we were staying being at home and having to homeschool our own kids and all of those things that have been going on for decades before 2019 or 2020, that have gotten worse, where our country, it's almost been like the dumbing down of our country. And now we see everything else that's going on that's affecting our Ivy League schools, our state colleges and universities, and so forth and so on. It's exhausting. I think that's part of my silent reevaluation, is that it's just exhausting at this point, um, to think about it and consider it. And then, me with my contingency plans to try to figure out, okay, so where do you go from here? Where you go from here is completely up to us. Um, I mean, you and me, in that no one's coming to save anyone. There is no great plan that anyone has that can be enacted without our meaning our societal, our community participation. We all have to participate. We can either continue to allow things to um, go downhill. At some point, there won't be teachers. There won't be enough. I mean, I've even read, and I know it's probably not just my state, where they're recruiting individuals that don't have degrees. And I don't have anything against people who don't have degrees, but degrees to me represent specialized training. I have a bachelor's degree, I have two master's degree, I'm 6 courses shy of my third master's degree. And masters, that you mastered information, that you mastered an area, right? That you know what you're doing. So I don't understand, like, if you won't just go to your neighbor to help you with that broken leg, you go to a doctor. When your skin is jacked up, you're not just going to go to your primary care physician. You go to a dermatologist, you go to a specialist. People are really serious about working out, they hire a trainer, because trainers know, they specialize, they are educated in that area. We would just let anyone teach our kids. They don't need to know about the difference between what pedagogy is, or the difference between pedagogy and andragogy, or how to communicate lessons or create lesson plans or develop. They get curriculum, but how to take from that curriculum to make sure that what they're teaching is sound and effective, and that the kids learn it and they meet the state objectives for each grade level. That's not important. I just wonder, like, where we're headed. Kids aren't even learning how to cursive write anymore. Like, how do they sign their names? So when we go online and we do an electronic signature that just types it in, so if someone gets into that program and they electronically sign their name, is there nothing that differentiates them from anyone else? Before, you could tell someone's signature. I mean, when I started my career, I started off in banking, where we had to have signature cards. So when you open up your bank account, You signed and we took that signature card and we stored it in our bank so that if checks came in, you said, "Hey, I didn't write that check." We could compare the signature card to the signature on the check or the signature to your credit card bill. When you sign your receipt, that signature is there for a purpose. You can't sign your name. So if you're not learning cursive, not only can you not sign your name, but you can't read cursive writing either, longhand writing, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and I'm just checking in to see where everybody else is. It just me? Am I the on my, you know, talking into the abyss? Is there like a black hole? I know it can't just be me. I know there's got to be other people that are concerned. There's a lot of educators who follow me on this channel who are trying to get out of education and trust. I understand. Um, and I respect it. I have been saying for a long time, scroll through my content. I am concerned about that. I am concerned because one thing, there are many, 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 many hats that a teacher wears. But what's most important to me about an educator, beyond the fact that this is a passion for a lot of educators, they're definitely not doing it for the money. They're certainly not doing it for the time off, because any time off they have is relegated to grading papers and such. And even on a college level, I understand that because my job didn't end when my class was left, for the time that we were together, during the class time, a 2 to 2:50 or whatever it was on their schedule. Once, grown folks, they're not waiting for you to dismiss a class. You're not holding them over. Once their time is up, they're out. So I understand that. But I'm very concerned about what that means when we don't have veteran educators in the classroom who know that there are different ways that you have to reach students in order to communicate the lesson or what it is you're trying to teach them. There's many, some students are homeless, some students are hungry, some students have disabilities that haven't been diagnosed at that point. Some students are, just have some emotional issues that are not regulated through medications and things of that nature. But teachers, because they spend time and they develop relationships, they're very integral to all of our success. We can all talk about teachers that made a difference, that saw something in us that we didn't see in ourselves, that cultivated something that we didn't, a gift that we didn't know was there, that we had not identified with. I'm extremely concerned about what's going to happen with teachers leaving. And I so much so that I want to take my gift in developing curriculum and I want to focus in that area. I want to focus on things that will make teachers' lives easier, that will provide professional development for them to meet these state standards and these hoops that now they have to jump through, to prove their worth and validate their skills as a teacher. But these are just a lot of my thoughts right now, a lot of my concerns, and I'm just taking a step back, taking it all in to figure out, where does this all fit in and where do we go from here. Um, so just hopped on for a minute. I hope that you all will take a moment to be still, take a deep breath, cut off the news, find things that you feel good about. For me, that is pickleball twice a week, and that's lifting weights 3 times a week. That is spending time with my family and my dog, cutting off the news, and focusing on feel good content, whether that be books from the library through Libby, or watching movies and things like that, or just providing other things, self care for myself. Um, and filling things up. I'm feeling empty. I'm feeling overstimulated. And I know that I'm not alone. So if you're feeling those ways as well, take a time out, take a beat, take a breather, let go of the things that you cannot control, even things at your job where people may believe differently or act differently, and all those things. Take a moment to disassociate to a degree. Like, keep things polished and professional, but be reserved and get your work done. But understand that your title, your position, and your job are not you. They do not make you. They are part of your life and they hopefully add to it. But you need to put in some stop gaps if they're subtracting from it. And only you know what those stop gaps can and should be. And reassess because life is short. Life is really short and stress does kill. And in the time that you have that's free, do the things that you enjoy doing. Do the things that you're passionate about. Do those things that give back, that add to. There's already so much that takes away from. And yeah, this too shall pass. But it's a good for me reminder to stop taking things for granted and um, to level set. It's all right to pivot. Sometimes we have to pivot. Sometimes we just take a break and we rest and we keep on the journey, in the same direction. Sometimes there's a need to change directions, and that's okay too. So, thanks for stopping by and joining me, and I will talk with you soon.